Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's Rock'n'Roll Spot connection with the my first video of the year, as well as the first comic book roundup of the year. So, we will also be covering the books that came out last week, which Marvel, hell, I don't think anybody really released a whole lot of books last week. They put out, I think they focused on the first 3 weeks of the month and then said, okay, yeah, the day after Christmas we'll put a couple books out, you know. But anyway, so let's get started. We got not a terrible amount, all considered. Of course, this is a 5 Wednesday month, so you know, yeah. We're going to have it's going to be some small weeks. All right, so let's get things started with Uncanny X-Men number 7. So where we left off, the students, as well, took the old, if you can't beat them, talk it out with them. Strategy to heart, and decided to talk things out with X-Man Nate Gray. Well, Legion also kind of got involved and said, hey, well, tell you what, how about we all just go in my head and discuss this. As Legion created okay, Nate Gray is from the Age of Apocalypse. Technically speaking, Legion created the Age of Apocalypse. With time travel. Anyway, so we open up in Chicago, Illinois, and what appears to be the Age of Apocalypse. Armor and Glob are fighting some of the Infinities, and they're a wrecking house. Glob is now wearing some armor around his lower half, and he's much more of a badass. And anyways, so Nate leads the two of them further into the city. Meanwhile, it turns out that Rockslide and Pixie have split from them. They've made their own choice. Anyway, Mutant Boy flies off and says, you know, tries to get Rockslide and Pixie to pay for the location of Glob, Armor, and Nate Gray. And they arrive at apparently one of Sinister's labs, which uses Firestar as a power source, and also has what appears to be the Age of Apocalypse version of Colossus. So anyway, there's a shard of the Emtron crystal, and they're going to try and use that, but it's powered down and therefore completely useless. There's a fight that breaks out between Armor and Glob and Rockslide and Pixie. All four, well, with the exception of Armor, they've all had gradual changes. Armor's armor has also changed more than a little bit. And then it finally clicks with Armor. She gets that, you know, she gets something that the X-Men have kind of trying to teach them. There's no easy solution, and no truly right or wrong answer. And so she finally agrees with Rockslide and Pixie that yes, Nate, as he's apparently powerless in the Age of Apocalypse, needs to die. They also redesigned the four, as you can see on the cover there. I I kind of dig the redesigns. Though I would say, I don't know, Glob Herman's is just kind of eh. Though it does, I would say, I guess it does kind of fit with a more, a more active Glob. So anyways, moving on, Uncanny X-Men number 8. That's from this week. Also, I might add, this was last week's Uncanny X-Men issue. Armor's about to kill Nate. And Pixie and Rockslide, who were all for killing Nate, are now just like, maybe this isn't right. Are just kind of, huh, this is not what I was expecting. And that while Glob is just like, this isn't, this can't be right. But it's back on Prime Earth. The X-Men are fighting X-Man's horsemen, well, 3 remaining apostles, duking it out with them, knocking the crap out of them. As apparently, X-Man, as well as the 4 students, have all disappeared. And Legion is in something of a coma. However, Kitty manages to dig herself out and brings the Senator with her. And Apocalypse. Meanwhile, outside the at Xavier School, there's, of course, people some celebrating, some protesting, some mourning, And Beast talks to Enole a bit and asks, and confronts him, says, you stole the vaccine I had been developing, and I want to know why. We also got this really neat spread for the upcoming War of the Realms. It'll be coming out in April. Potential. Okay. Anyway, of course, the X-Men Apocalypse, their first instinct is get ready to fight. But wait, I was a prisoner here. I was a prisoner, I'm not here to fight. I just want to GTFO. Or, at least go back to trying to take over the world, Anyways, Jean and Psylocke finally get into Legion's head enough to figure out where the kids are, as well as Nate. They're in Nate's home, the Age of Apocalypse. And Bishop is just like, yeah, I would not wish that place on my worst enemy. Especially with him being the only person who has true first-hand experience of the Age of Apocalypse, well, aside from X-Men, obviously. Well, let me see. Sugarman's dead. Holocaust is dead. The 4th. I thought there was a 4th. Oh, okay, no. That's right, Dark Beast. However, Apocalypse is like, there's only one true way out of this. You destroy Legion, you destroy X-Men. Yeah, I mean, you also destroy your students, but that's the price you pay. They stop him, there's a fight, and Bishop tells Psylocke that he needs her to put him in Legion's head. So she basically stabs her side blade through Bishop's head and into Legion's head, which does the trick because telepathy and yeah. Just in time for him to stop, for Bishop to stop Armor from killing Nathan. He explains that they've only been gone like 5 minutes, but to them it's been years. Then Legion shows up, and him and Nate argue a bit. Mostly, Legion taunts Nate, and yeah, then they fight. They duke it out for a bit, and Bishop and the students come out of there, back to normal. Surprised to see Apocalypse just standing there, not fighting anybody. And now apparently Legion and Nate have merged. Yay! Ooh, and we got okay, that the editorial page is something we'll read later. Suffice to say, it's the New Year's resolutions of certain X-Men characters. Anyways, moving on to X-Force #1. Now, with Weapon X having come to an end last month, well, we can't go too long without a more violent X team having their own book. So, X-Force #1. Anyway, this spins out of well, we start off in Transia. Some soldiers are knocking on a door looking for a mutant. They burst in with energy weapons, and then the mutant runs and then gets shot in the head, escaping. The soldiers are like, it's a dead mutant, who cares? Meanwhile, in Queens, New York, got a bit of a reunion of sorts for the original X-Force lineup. Domino is asking questions about where they're getting their hardware and how they're involved with Kid Cable from Extermination. They're going with a no killing unless necessary clause. I don't like the way this guy's drawing Warpath. Really do not like it. Dylan Burnett, yeah, not digging him. Not digging his style, at least not when it comes to Warpath. Everybody else, he's got a pretty decent beat on. Anyway, so they spec around a bit, and it turns out that Transia is being offered weapons in exchange for information on the X-Men and the Avengers. So, X-Force gets into their jet. Meanwhile, in Transia, the president's talking with the head of the military, explaining that for the first time, but with, Transia is, being a haven for mutants is, that's a good thing. It's that, that combined with the fact that of their new ally is allowing them to get, finally be more than just a speck on the map. In the Science Research Department, however, Kid Cable pops in and starts shooting people. And we see that somehow him and Deathlock have started working together. Which Deathlock, I'm not entirely certain at this point. I would presume it's the same one that worked with X-Force, with Wolverine's second X-Force lineup, but I'm not entirely certain. the body the hosts the Deathlock. Is the host for this Deathlock was a serial killer. So, yeah. Anyway, so Kid Cable and Deathlock shoot their way out. However, the Kid Cable gets shot. Does a early hit in the arm when they're surprised, and which probably messes up their teleportation tracker. So, anyway, they shoot their way out, and then X-Force sees the explosion and figures that's probably the best place to start looking. And so they save the two. Their ship's called the Pack Rat 2, I might add. And they escape. The military commandant bursts in, explaining they have to get the president to safety, and he needs to escort him somewhere safe. And he doesn't know how they made it to the science wing or the president's office. And then the commandant shoots the president in the head. Tells what's happened, how the mutants killed the president and ran. And the next day in Bulgaria, their Kid Cable is working on fixing putting Deathlock back together, and explaining what's going on. Turns out he'd been pumping them for information on where they were getting the guns from, trying to set up a meeting. The weaponry, it turns out, are from his youth. And Constantine while Transia is publicly speaking a haven for mutants, Constantine is leading troops on setting troops on kill raids against mutants behind the president's back. However, the president is now dead, and Cable and Deathlock have been fingered in the assassination of the president. Now, a plot point I did not mention earlier when the X-Force was questioning the various terrorists, Boom Boom, who was supposed to handle scouting the place out. She slept through her alarm. And so she goes, leaves a message, gets dressed, leaves a message for Domino, takes a drive with a Y to where the terrorists were, and of course she finds that, So Boom Boom calls an ambulance. The guy takes a shot at her, and she chucks a time bomb at him, and plasma time bomb, building full of explosives with a couple of SUVs parked out front. Not a good combination. Place go kablooey. Dom says, you might want to cancel an ambulance just because get some fire trucks instead. She also calls Domino, and, One really cool thing is there's a point where there are some points that make nods to her time as a member of Team Next Wave, namely cursing being done, but just with simply 4 skull and crossbones symbols. Also, her look is very much Next Wave, which makes me happy because that's like one of my favorite comic books ever. And one day we'll totally talk about all 12 issues. Moving on to Deadpool number 8. It doesn't really matter what Deadpool looked off with Deadpool. He's Deadpool. You know him. So Deadpool is at Silly Seal World, an amusement park. And Silly Seal, owner and mascot of Silly Seal World, is hiring Deadpool to kill Ziggy Pig, his buddy. Turns out that Ziggy got in over his head, and his brother Zaggy, he bought out Ziggy's share of the park and is now running drugs and guns for the park. So yeah, that's why he wants Deadpool to kill Zaggy Pig. And so he dresses up as Zaggy Pig or as Ziggy Pig and walks around, and a field trip full of kids comes out, hugs him, and one of them stops and is like, wait, your voice. The child in particular being Ellie, Deadpool's daughter, who, after the events of Despicable Deadpool 300, Deadpool no longer remembers. Yay, memory wipes. So Deadpool gets away from the kids, finds that one of the rides, Hank's Hayride, to be exact, is closed for maintenance. Well, Wade, wanders in, and Ellie follows him. And yeah, that's exactly where Zaggy's running drugs and guns through. Ellie tries to stop Wade from killing people. She fails a little bit, but yeah. Gunplay, swordplay, killing people play follows, and she talks a bit with him. Doesn't entirely get the idea that he doesn't remember who she is. But anyway, so Zaggy Pig makes Deadpool an offer. Deadpool's like, "Nah, I can't do it. Yeah, if I did that, yeah, I would be constantly counter-negotiating." But he hacks and slashes his way through more thugs, and he's about to. Zaggy's getting onto a chopper and trying to escape, and Deadpool's out of bullets. He's pissed because he never miscounts. But it turns out Ellie took the bullets out of Deadpool's gun. She drops them on the ground as Deadpool stomps off. And that's Deadpool number 6. Or number 8, I mean. I don't know why is it 6. Moving on to Shatterstar number 4. So, where we left off, Shatterstar's tenants have been kidnapped by the Death Sponsors and taken to the world Horus 4 under control of the Grandmaster. One of them, however, Tiffany Cook has sadly met her fate at the hands of Zeus. And Shatterstar arrives shortly after she dies, and I was actually surprised. Of course, the Grandmaster starts talking to him, or he notices Grandmaster at the podium, and asks who he is, and he's like, "I'm God here." Like, okay. Do as gods do. Be silent. And I was actually surprised. I figured we were going to get a fight between Zeus and Shatterstar, but instead, Shatterstar handed him the one tenant he'd so far rescued, and just, take him from this arena, keep him safe. This is not his fight. Anyways, so the Death Sponsors attack. He gives a really awesome speech, which is on par, I would say, with the whole with Maximus's speech about identifying himself in Gladiator. People of Horus 4. I am no longer a gladiator. I am a landlord. I will not pose for your cameras. I will not kill for your entertainment. But the Death Sponsors kidnapped my tenants. They were on hand when one of them died. They led another to her doom, and I will have my revenge. And he does. Very swiftly, I might add. Also gets more background. Turns out that Gringrave had been lying to Shatterstar. The two fellows weren't going to kill him. They were rather going to get it. They were going to get him to the Resistance. She modified the video footage so that it would appear differently, but so Gringrave watches as the Death Sponsors are killed, and of course applauds. And she goes to face him, but everything she's done. And of course, Shatterstar and Gringrave duke it out, and she's fat. She manages to get she's close in front of the daggers. She manages to cut him up a bit. She reveals the trick she played, and he seems to be horribly injured, and they hold each other. And he just holds on tight and impales the two of them on one of his swords. He gets back up. The sword's still stuck in him. But then Grandmaster appears. And he explains to Shatterstar that he is God here. Once again. And the ultimate power over life and death is his to bestow. And he seemingly blows up Shatterstar. I mean, seriously, is there really any other way to interpret that? Yeah, I didn't think so. I mean, obviously there's another issue, so it's probably a safe bet that, somehow Shatterstar survived. Moving on to Wolverine the Long Night, #1. This is, okay, so this is if I remember correctly, the comic adaptation of a podcasted story. It's a story that's been written and done as a podcast, I think basically radio play. I'm not entirely certain. Based on the Marvel podcast. So, anywho, Alaska, crabber found a ship floating, and inside of it were 1, a bunch of dead people, 2, drugs. He relates all this to a couple of feds. Of course, what's odd that later notice is the fact that there was no mention in the report of any drugs. So, Later on, one of them has looked over the boat. There's grouped slashes grouped in threes along throughout the boat. Wiped clean though. No mention of packages to the Coast Guard or the police. So turns out that the local funeral home is also run by the coroner. So the other agent assists, noting the blade marks, again in groups of 3. The sheriff is not too happy. Not too happy at all. It's his town, you know. But anyway, so he has one of his deputies work with them. They go question, because there were 9 bodies on the boat, but the boat's supposed to have a 10-man crew. 10th man on the crew called in that day, so they go to where he lives. En route, they catch a radio transmission from what appears to be a doomsday cult. Well, the missing guy, he likes him some drugs. Talks a bit, he mentions about the guy that joined the crew a while back. Eyes like black board, straight into a sawed-off shotgun. He was, one day, one of the other guys got tangled up in everything and went overboard. Doesn't hesitate. Logan jumps in the water, pulls him out. Missing part of one of his arms, but yeah, pulls him out. And pissed off, Logan cut off his hand or his arm. Logan eventually, turns around and says, "Should have cut your head instead," but he then jumps off the boat into the water. Week later, surviving crewman sees Logan at the bar and leaves. They get to where the cabin Logan rented. Looks like something, or what appeared to be, you got deer hung, presumably also butchered, pelts being dried out, so on. Basically, someone who knows how to live off the land. So the feds and that's where things end. So far, it seems like an interesting one. Anyways, we're going to follow that up with Marvel Knights number 5. I think it was also from last week. It could have been from this week. Anyway. No, it's not. It's from this week. So, where we left off, T'Challa had made his way was making his way into Fisk Tower, and the other 4, Banner, Elektra, Punisher, and Daredevil, led by Karen Page, have arrived at Fisk Tower. T'Challa ends up duking it out with a quartet of goons who are playing cards. Jigsaw, Taskmaster, Crossbones, and Tombstone. And it seems to be an earthquake which stops the fight cold. Kingpin sees his drink shake and wonders what the hell did that? Doom is, it's like he didn't think it would start so soon. So he makes his escape and says, hey, to a secret developer, and it's like, "Hey, Kingpin, are you coming or not?" Apparently, the box is guarded by is guarded by a dragon. And Doom does not wish to be present should that dragon awaken. So anyways, T'Challa continues fighting the Four, and then, or the Four Goons, and then the Four Knights show up. Hulk smashed through the wall. And Daredevil, like other, promptly attacks Frank. Kingpin and Doom have a falling out and begin fighting one another, and then, but it seems that whatever forces Doom is using are not lethal, as he's only burning away Kingpin's clothing. And so Kingpin grabs Doom by the throat and holds him up and drops off the side of the building. Meanwhile, Daredevil and Elektra get in to stop T'Challa from taking out Punisher when he goes after the two of them. Turns out the truck that hit T'Challa's vehicle with the box in it was not being driven by someone from Fisk, but rather by Frank Castle himself. And also Banner, Daredevil, and Elektra were with him. And apparently the four of them are the ones who erased the world. Interesting twist that I really did not see coming. I'll give this... Seriously, this is becoming one of my favorite storylines of the year. Next up, we've got the utter, complete finale of Infinity Wars. Infinity Wars Infinity #1. Which, I might add, has Mark Bailey artwork. Sorry, that means some Mark Bailey work. And so, we start off at Texas State Penitentiary at Huntsville. Hector Bautista, the man sentenced to death. It's just all there is to it. Meanwhile, in space, at what remains of Xandar, Moondragon and Phyla-Vell are ambushed by 4 members of the fraternity of Raptors, whom they promptly beat the ever-living hell out of and interrogate. Telenar learns that the four, or that the, with the exception of the Time Stone, the gems have all left Earth, and the surviving Raptor also gets shot out into space. Turns out that the Time Gem landed in Hector Bautista's cell. First, he doesn't understand what he's doing, but yeah. Thought to be just a meteor strike, but whatever. Also, Bautista claims that he's innocent. But he utilizes the Time Stone to... He realizes he can stop time, and so he starts using that ability to get himself away. And so, on the day of his execution, he makes his escape. Meanwhile, Loki and Flo are talking, and Flo just wants to be rid of Loki, and I don't blame her. Who really? All this do is prattle on. And so she chucks him back onto the ship, or an orbiting ship. And then things just get crazy. Some weird combination of Logan and Odin shows up. It would, I don't know. I guess it's probably closer to Thor's chariot. Telling Loki to get in because the two of them got a universe to save, which will apparently be continued in Wolverine Infinity Watch. And I'm gonna say it, up until that last few pages, Infinity Wars was actually a book, a storyline I was really digging, but now it's just leading to some kind of, I don't know, crazy shit that I'm not entirely sure I want a part of. Anyway, moving on to the last week of the week, we got Star Wars Age of Republic, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, we started off having a brief flashback to when Obi-Wan was a young Padawan, learning meditation techniques. Cut back to now, where he's meditating, he's teaching Anakin how to meditate. But it turns out that Obi-Wan has been sent on various missions for the Council over the years, but these missions he has seen not to include Anakin on. And so, while reading up on the planet, in the archives, Yoda asks if he's going to take young Skywalker with him. And they talk a bit, and Yoda basically convinces him of it. And so, they talk a bit, and Anakin kind of has moments of, well, sorry to screw things up for you, pal, moment. But anyways, they arrive at the Ark. Apparently, now the adventure hook is that a Republic archaeological dig has possibly found a holocron on the planet of Dalinor. So they arrive on Dalinor. The leader of the archaeological dig is kind of like, hey, yeah. The sooner you get this thing away from here, the better. Because, at first, pirates showed up, but then when they realized that, most stuff we were digging it was just, well, scrap, nothing of importance to them, they left. Now, however, they realize something's up. So as the pirates arrive, and leader, when he sees Obi-Wan's lightsaber, he decides he doesn't want whatever it is that the archaeologists found. He wants Obi-Wan's lightsaber. Slight problem, though. The colorist kind of made an error, we'll say. While it is Qui-Gon's lightsaber he's using, for some reason now the blue blade. But yeah, Anakin takes them on, and the pirate captain takes Anakin hostage. However, Anakin uses the Force and smacks the guy in the back with some rocks. So they take the holocron and leave. Oh, I might also add that when the when when Obi-Wan first sees the pirates gathered out. He does bring us he of course does pop off with, "Hello there." Well, it may have been the initial line the first line that Alec Guinness said as Obi-Wan. It's become so much more with the delivery that Ewan McGregor had for it in the prequels. On the way back, Obi-Wan allows Anakin to pilot the ship for a little bit. I have to admit, I was kind of expecting these Age of Republic one-shots to connect, you know? Anyway, that's it for this week. Like I said, we shouldn't have too many... Well, of course, of this week, we shouldn't have too many books each week. Which is really good considering the other things. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I'll be back with additional videos later as the week goes on and as the days go on. This is Rock Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.